welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment today, we are going to discuss about sample registration system. Now, this topic is very important from the perspective of prelims because there is going to be it can be that you might find questions with respect to certain demographic facets of this particular segment. So, very important from the perspective of prelims and also GS mains paper, second and third. So, why, first of all, I would like to tell you, why do you need to watch it? For facts and for understanding about what is sample registration survey, who brings it out, since when it has been brought out. For that, I have a solution. You can know about the history of sample registration survey. So, since independence, it was thought that we needed a proper record for policy making about the demography of the entire country. Which section of the population needs our attention more, which does not or might not need that much of attention. For example, in order to provide some old age schemes, we have to know about how many old people are living in the country. In order to provide more quality education, we need to know how many youngsters are there, how many children are there. To provide employment, we need to know how many people are there in the working age. For that, we needed a proper record. And there was not any sort of law. Already census was going on, but there was not any sort of law for a continuous enumeration. And the enumeration in every state or the union territory was not uniform, because if we do not have a law, of course, we cannot have a proper framework under which we are going to be directed to collect information, right? So, the Registration of Births and Deaths Act 1969 was enacted. Under this, who is responsible for bringing out the sample registration survey? Office of Registrar General, who works under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So, this facet made it, there was a provision with respect to collecting data. So, since then, scheme of sample registration of births and deaths, it was brought out, okay? And this is popularly known as sample registration survey. Yes, remember one thing, that in 1964-1965, a pilot project was launched, okay? You remember that this act came at a later stage, but the scheme was started on a pilot basis in 64-65. Since 1969 to 1970, as you see, we have been doing sample registration survey on a continuous basis, okay? And this is a single as well as multi-round retrospective survey. It also maintains a dual record system. How? Because, first of all, remember that it is a continuous enumeration of births and deaths. So, single and multi-round retrospective survey from the back date as well. And it is done in samples, not only in villages, of course, but also in urban area. So, there are two institutions that are involved. Institution, that means the provision has put a person who is a resident part-time enumerated and also an independent 6-monthly retrospective survey by a full-time supervisor. So, that is why this is being said that it is being based on a dual record system. There are many advantages for this system because there is a less chance of duplication. Okay, I have prepared a similar list. The other person also preparing a similar list, okay, from your city. It might happen that I have missed certain people and the other person has also missed certain people. So, we can corroborate and we have a more robust set of people. The list is more robust. If there is any duplication, it can be done away with. Also, the qualitative as well as quantitative assessment is also kept in mind. If there are certain areas from where distortion is occurring, we can also point that one. For example, I went to house A. House A has 5 people and they told me that there are only 4 people. The other person also goes to house A, but the person finds out that there are 5 people there. Now, I have 4, he has 5 in the list or she has 5 in the list. Then what will happen? We can corroborate the data. So, quantitative as well as qualitative, both errors can be done away with, right? Now, what are the highlights of this particular 2019 sample registration survey? For example, we have to know about the indicators of policy making. We need to know that sample registration survey is one of the official, apart from the census, for policy making, we can know that this is the data that we can rely upon. Reliable, official data is reliable because for examination perspective, from the perspective of examination, you have to rely on the data of the government as you are giving a government examination. Okay, so India's population is not getting any younger and working population is on the rise. So as of 2019, we only have 25.4% of the children, and you can compare it with 1971 when there was a whopping 41.2% of the children. And the reduction from 2011 has also been remarkable, from 29 to 25. And also, you see working age population, people belonging from the age of 15 to 59 years. 15 to 59 years make up 66.5%. Also, you can compare it with 1971, 53.4% only were there. If we compare it with 2011, it has of course risen 62.5 to 66.5%. Also, 8.1% of the people are above 60, senior citizens. So, what can the government take it from here? Quality education has to be provided. As we have lesser number of children, we can have quality education, right? We can have a proportion of manpower which shall educate the very less amount of children that we have for better employment opportunities. From here, the government can take 66.5% more employment needs to be given. Otherwise, this will become a demographic disaster from demographic dividend. 8.1% of the senior citizens need social as well as medical and financial help. This is what the government can do from here. Moving on, if we talk about the second one, India's youngest and oldest states. The youngest states were the states of Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Jharkhand. Remember that. Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand and Bihar. The oldest states are Kerala and Tamil Nadu. That means the population is the oldest in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, youngest, more children in Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. Okay, so you see, this is the countrywide representation. Bihar, 33.5% of the children are under the age of 15. Then we see that here, these are the states which have a huge expanse of youngest population. The southwestern states and you can see the many other states, they still have a balanced population. Okay, moving on, the third facet we can take away from here is the gender imbalance in the birth rates is the same. Since 2011, it has not changed much. Okay, so female births per 1,000 male births. This is the representation of that. The average of India is 904 females per male, and you see Uttarakhand has the lowest ratio of females per male, again for prelims. Kerala has the highest, 968. For Kerala, it's 968 per 1,000. For Uttarakhand, it is 848 per 1,000. In Union Territory, the lowest female to be born as per the males, lowest is in Delhi. And highest is in, if we talk about Union Territories, highest is in, I guess, no, we do not see any other proper Union Territory. No, I don't think so. So, this is the highlights that we brought out. Again, number of women married before the age of 21 is declining. The lowest it has been in Delhi. Delhi as a union territory has recorded the lowest ratio of women or percentage of women who are marrying before the age of 21. The women who are marrying below the age of 21 still are the highest to be recorded in West Bengal. You see, 49.6. After that, we have Madhya Pradesh, then Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and basically these are the top 5 states, 5 to 6 states, you remember their name. The lowest in Union Territory is Delhi and Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, remember these two. Alright, so Jammu Kashmir and Delhi, I said Delhi earlier, but Jammu Kashmir is lower than Delhi. So last two we have Delhi and Jammu and Kashmir. So the central government is already planning to introduce a law with respect to increasing the age of women to marry from 18 to 21 years on the basis of particular committee. Can you name the committee which recommended this particular law to be made? So you see that here Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and among the states, West Bengal, the highest share of women who got married before the age of 21, then Madhya Pradesh, and then Bihar. So this is the particular thing that we have to remember. Moving on. Now the fifth thing to be remembered is more than half of the live births in 2019 were to women bearing the first child. That means women, first of all, they are choosing to get married at a later age. This has also been highlighted by this particular survey. In 2011, 21%, approximately 21% of the women chose to marry at a later date. As of 2019, this has become 22%. Higher the age of marriage will be giving birth to, they will be giving birth to lesser number of children, so fertility rate is also getting declined, and slightly because of that only, the government might think about bringing a population policy. So you see, about 52.9% of the total births in India to women who had bore their first child was in 2019. So a staggering 77.9% of children who were born in Delhi were first born, and 33.8% of those in Bihar were the third born or higher. So you see the stark difference. The share of firstborn children in total live births 2019 is the highest since 2011, and the earliest period of which data were made available by SRS. So first child, second child, third child, fourth child, so on. You see, first child, there has been an increase, second child, mid, and fourth or more, you see the percentage is lower. Let's move on and talk about our challenges. What are the challenges that the Indian government has to and you all have to face if you become a bureaucrat? So the eventuality of aging population is such. We have a boom in the working age population. This working age population will continue to grow older if it is not going to be matched by the children, of course. If the children will keep on remaining getting less and less, the problems which are being faced by China will be India's problem. Aging population, such as in Japan, such as in China. Certain governments of certain countries are even paying people for becoming parents in order for not them to grow old. I mean, in order for the country to have a working population for a longer period of time, they're paying so that they do not have to outsource human resources from other countries. This is the problem with China as well. China, when it brought out the controversial one-child policy, it did away with that policy because of aging only in the year 2016. And now it is asking, in 2021, it started asking people to have 3 children. So that is the problem. Policies might have a disastrous effect in the long run. So for aging population, we might have to give them more social scheme. For government has to become more robust with its treasury for paying pension and for salaried and of course government employees. But for those who have never been employed properly, not in government sectors, they have to get better social schemes. Gender imbalances and has been remaining an issue that needs to be addressed. There is a skewed demography. Some places have good amount of children which can become demographic dividend in a longer period of time. Southern states are becoming less and less young, so demography skew is there. Also, there can be a wrong interpretation of the increment of age from 18 to 21. For girls, especially girls I am talking about here, if they want to marry a partner of their choice and they get married as an adult after the age of 18 but before the age of 21. So if POXO defines child as 18 years, any person who is less than 18 years. But this can backfire if the girl is going to get married before the age of 21, and it might get weaponized by the parents who are not actually having any good intentions for the couple. So this can be another problem. So what are the way forward? We have to be robust with our social security schemes for aging population. And then we have to raise per capita income for the people to choose if they want to have more child or not. If they will be provided proper income, they can think about having more children in the longer period of time. Right now, India is not getting any younger. There should be awareness about the raising for minimum age of marriage so that the policy cannot be weaponized by the belligerent parents. Refrain from bringing any population restricting policies because it backfires in the long run. Social awareness can be made available at a much larger hand because these are social issues. So reform should be taken from the social perspective and not the legal and the judiciary perspective, right? Let's move forward and talk about our question. As India is not getting young anymore, what are the challenges as well as the way forward related to it? How can we draw parallels of this case from the case of China? Do read about China's demographic issues right now. Okay, so that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.